Hello everyone, welcome to today's editorial analysis. In this session, we'll try to understand the important editorial from the Hindu as well as from the Indian Express, and I'll make sure that I'll analyze from the exam perspective, like relevance to the general studies paper and its subtopic where it would be important. So stay tuned, and we'll be discussing some of the important questions also at the end of the discussion. So I'll be discussing some current event question or some previous year question that will help you for the civil services prelims examination. Okay, now moving ahead. We have a prelims test series for 2020, so this would be helpful for you to get into the real examination. So in total there will be 70 tests, so you can avail this course both online as well as offline, and we have an answer writing challenge in our ISGAN website, so you can participate also and you can improve your answer writing skill. The link for all two initiatives are there in the description of this video, so do check the description. And starting with the today's editorial analysis, so from the Hindu, so what I'll be doing first, I'll tell you what exactly there in the Hindu, then I'll give a brief idea about the editorial. So these are the two important editorial which is there in the Hindu, fine, and this would be our in-depth analysis. I'll tell you what exactly we'll be covering for this. And this, the murders without the mayhem, this is the issues that was there for the in the Koyadi district of the Kozhikode district basically. So this is not that important. It's some murder issues, so it has been plotted a murder, that is not that relevance when it's come to the civil service examination. You can definitely skip this. Now this would be our in-depth analysis. So before I proceed with the in-depth analysis, I'll give you the overview what exactly is there in the other news. Okay, so the first is there in the making a friend for the neighborhood. So this is from the Hindu, and this is important for your general studies paper 2, where it can be under the subsection of bilateral relationship, the global grouping agreement involving India's and affecting India's interest. So as you know that there is a second informal summit. Okay, so this is the second informal summit, and this can be called as an advancement to the Wuhan summit. Okay, or it can be a pro Wuhan summit, where India is China trying to make the engagement, trying to deepen their bilateral engagement, so that it can strengthen the other important sectoral engagement. Okay, so the recent engagement in the Mamallapuram in the Chennai is taking place, and it has a very significant role when it's come to India and China's relation. So in this editorial, the discussion is all about what should be the capacity, talking about the three issues, talking about the three important countries in the world now: India, China and USA. So it is very important for India to make a good bilateral relationship with the China, because see, China is one of our immediate neighbors, and talking about the other tariff retaliation from the US, so we cannot very much rely upon the US, because we have seen in the recent time that the US is not supporting us in terms of when it comes to the India and Pakistan relationship, because recently Donald Trump has not shown his inclination when it's come to the POK issues. Okay, the Pak occupied Kashmir, and it is not favoring Kashmir as well, but his intention is very neutral. So these again need to be taken care of. When it's come to the India-China relationship, we can consider China as a very important partner, because see, in this editorial, background has been discussed about the Rajiv Gandhi's tenure. Okay, 1998, when he visited Beijing, he visited Beijing in 1988. Okay, at that tenure, what things that development, the footstep was there, the liberalization. India was about to start its liberalization in 1991. So post 1991, we have achieved a lot in our country. The globalization, the liberalization that was there in the India, we have moved towards the growth sector in the other sector as well, talking about the services sector, the IT sector, that was being augmented during the Rajiv Gandhi tenure. So this is what has been discussed. The Doklam issues in the recent time is very important, talking about the India-China brutal direct injection of the Himalayas of the 2017, that is also discussed. So these three are very important when it's come to the relation. There's some tactile engagement that is also being discussed. So how, as I told you before, that it will be very important, will be pivotal for the both of the countries to maintain a symmetry relationship. Okay, so this is which is there in the editorial. It also talks about the free trade agreements. Okay, the FTAs, it being also discussed in this editorial. The free trade agreement issues is also being discussed, so that can be a crucial point from the examination point of views. Okay, so FTA, the free trade agreement, is very important from the exam point of view. Okay, so this is there, and The other part, the only negative from the China is that they have not no they have done the veto when it come to the Masood Azhar, declaring him as a terrorist. So after that we have achieved the success, उसके बाद हमें सफलताएं मिली है, but still we want China to be a standing side from the India, right? So this is important. Now the second editorial that is there in the Hindu, that will be our in-depth analysis. Now we'll move to the editorial of the Indian Express. So the in this we'll be discussing the editorial from the policy the way out, and uncivic nationalism, and the green versus the green. Okay, so these two can be skipped, these two are not that important for the examination perspective. Now moving ahead, what exactly is there in the policy way cut? See, this would be important for your general studies paper 3, where basically precisely it is more of the economic development and issues related to planning, mobilization, resource growth, development and employment. So we'll look into the triviality of this editorial. So it basically talks about the economic growth. Okay, what could be the best possible way when it's come to the cyclic growth of the India, because we have been facing an economic slowdown. Okay, the GDP growth rate which should be there, the targeted would be 6.2%, but the present which is being achieved by India is somewhere 5.7 to 5.9%. Okay, and it is again the situation of the country is not very good, so it can again degrade to some other somewhere between 5%. Okay, and the target which is being set by the government of the $5 trillion economy, to be in $5 trillion economy we need a GDP growth of somewhere 9 to 12%. Okay, so this is what is being desired from the GDP growth to be in $5 trillion economy. Okay, so previously also I have made some video with relation to this, तो आप उस वीडियोस को भी रेफर कर सकते हो. And now the important point which is being discussed here would be what would be the exact action, the course of action would be there. Okay, so talking about the other important part, talking about the contribution of the GDPs, talking about the foreign investment, it would be very important for the countries. Okay, and there is a windfall in the growth, 2 to 3% pointer. The percentage growth जो अगर downfall की बात करें तो India is facing the entire sectors में 2 to 3% is the downfall. Okay, so 2 to 3% is the downfall which is being faced. Fine, so this is what also being discussed, and it also discussed the monetary policy from the RBI side, the MPC, basically the monetary policy committee. So what could be the another important aspect of it, that is also discussed. You can read this, and there's some other further point which can be important for you. Okay, so the other point which can also be important for you would be the government regulatory body, talking about the important regulatory bodies like the RBI. Okay, and the foreign direct investment, the FDI regulation can be again important. No, breaking the red tapeism, talking about the other, because what government did, government has cut the taxes also, to increase the growth rate. So these are some of the initiatives from the government side that is there presently. Fine, so you can extract some of the important point, you can jot down some of the further point that can be relevant for the examination. Now moving ahead, the uncivic nationalization. So in this editorial, this is basically from the op-ed page, okay, of the this is from the idea page of the Indian Express, where this can be important for your general studies paper 1, India heritage and culture, history, geography of the world and the society, and the subtopic would be freedom struggle and various stages of the important contribution. Okay, so in this editorial it talks about what could be the ideal view of the Gandhis and the Tagore when it's come to the pluralistic views of India society. So it's more of philosophical, where you can use this in the ethics paper as well. This can be used in the ethics paper as well, and you can use the same in the case study as well. Okay, this can be used is in case study as well. So these are the two important area where this can be used. Fine, so the important point, I mean I'm not getting into the detail because now it's more philosophical than Nehru Ambedkar views on the nationalism. So the idea of nationalism, that is more discussed in this. Okay, so you can read this. Now moving ahead, this is very important one. This is the green versus green. This can be important for the general studies paper 3, and the subtopic would be conservation, environment, population degradation and the impact. Fine, so in this editorial it talks about the recent issues in the Mumbai, that is in the array forest. This is basically called the lungs of Mumbai. This is called the lungs of Mumbai. Fine. So this also become very important because there has been a cut down of the forest. So the Supreme Court judgment in this would be an important one, because the people there, they do not want to cut the plant. Okay, some of the data is driven is there. Most of the data are written that you can skip, that is not would be important for you, but the important point would be what would be the course of the action from the government side. Okay, because only making the urbanization to benefits the metro, we cannot, I mean, we cannot afford to go from the environmental consequences or the challenges. Okay, so these are something which need to be taken care of. The environment degradation, the the environment conservation is the most important thing for India at the present. So the area metro depot is which is about to be shifted there. So definitely this has been discussed, and the important point for you would be a question can be asked in the case study as well. Okay, they can ask you in the case study that you are posted as the district magistrate and you have to implement, or you are a metro director, you need to implement this decision, what would be your course of action. Okay, so they can ask you in this background. So this can be important there as well. You can quote this important as an example. Fine. Now moving ahead. So I told you that we have an in-depth analysis. So this would be an in-depth analysis toward the Asia and towards an Asia century. So basically this again can be important for your general studies paper 2, where international relationship is important. So 2 of the editorial in the Hindu are on the same parameters. Now moving ahead. So the entire editorial talks about the India-China factor. We look into the issues from the exam perspective. So 2 of the countries, basically the leaders, the transformational leader, the Modi and the President Xi Jinping. So they have a union. Basically, they are making a new development paradigm of the world orders. Okay, they're trying to transform the countries, and China is far, far, far away from India. Okay, they have a huge development in terms of every sectors. And talking about the other legitimate space in the global rules, because what US is doing, US is trying to dominate the entire country. But when it's come to the Asia, it is being told US, whatever is doing in the West, if in the Asia Pacific, if China and India can maintain a good momentum, they can beat any country across the world. अगर चाइना और इंडिया एक साथ हो जाए तो ये पूरे विश्व में किसी भी देश को मात दे सकते हैं. Okay, so this is a very important point. They might have a divergent approaches, they might have something divergent views, but they have a convergent goal to achieve the success to overall development of the nation. Okay, so this is what is being entire concern of this editorial. So what is the goal? See, China goal of the unique roadmap, I will tell you how China is moving ahead towards their goal. Basically, China has 2 century goals. First is to eliminate poverty by 2021. So they have set a target by 2021, next year they will be eradicating the entire poverty from the country, and at the same time they would be establishing a socialist nation by 2049. So these are some of the important targets set by the China. And talking about the other lesson that should be learned from the Soviet Union or other that has been continued from the household. So what has happened, the people have increased their standard of living. The other important, the livelihood of the people has increased, the earning of the people has been increased, and China is moving toward the stability from different the country is becoming more stable in terms of people prosperity. So this is what is being the China's roadmap. I'll tell you some important achievement of China. In terms of the GDP growth rate, they holds a par excellence. They have a per capita income, and the Communist Party is monitoring entire thing. And talking about the foreign exchange reserve, which is called FER. Okay, the foreign exchange reserve is over $3 trillion economy. So it's a lot. I mean, you can see we have a GDP target of $5 trillion economy, and they have a foreign exchange reserve of $3 trillion economy. So it's a large. I mean, India need to compete. India के वो कम से कम 5 times ज़्यादा है अभी उनकी GDP जो foreign exchange reserve है. Talking about the overall growth that is there from 1998 to 2008, जो middle class income है, जो middle class is there, they have grown almost 4%. Okay, the middle class income is almost grown 4% in the US, and in China it has grown up to 70%. Fine. So in China they have grown almost 70%. You can see the difference from 1998 to 2008. So this again can be very important. Now moving ahead, China has a focus on the infrastructure, both in the terms of supporting and well-being cities, and more than half of the population of the cities are in the middle class. Fine, they have moved to the cities. जो पहले रहते थे गांव में, now they are moving to the cities. And the standard of living, talking about the education, health, municipal services and public transport, is in the best across the world. So these are some of the important achievements of China. Okay, these are some of the important achievement of China. So this can be again very important for you. Now moving ahead, talking about the environmental concern. So environment is also one of the major agenda of China, because emission trade system, talking about the curbing of the emission, carbon dioxide. So they are cutting a lot, and they have become a global technology leader. In future terms, they have a global technology leaders, and it has a high speed train also, which runs almost 300 kilometers per hour. And China is exporting the nuclear power plant. You can see they're exporting it. So they have a very large investment in terms of every sectors. Now moving ahead, what could be the India's China's factor? See, India recognized China as an Asia sanctuary, and they want to work to be a civilized power, because India is a democratic country, and it want that the prosperity from the bottom of the corner need to be there. Okay, it want a bottom up approach, that we should work for the people. And India is now taking their own model of global order, because see, we cannot compete in of the country, but we can at the same time have a reflection of the developed countries. Fine. And two other countries can overlap in the sectoral areas, because in whatever way they are doing best, we can also try to make the work harder on the same sector. Okay, talking in the terms of 5D technology, there's another scope of improvement which India can do, which India can learn from the China. And the other discussion would be the century and the peaceful coexistence, because peaceful coordination is very important in terms of the India's and China relationship. Okay, so these are the important factor which can be studied under the India China. Now, as I told you, I'll be discussing some of the important questions. So before I start the important question, I'll tell you that we have a Apti Plus Telegram channel where you can get some important notifications, and compilations related to the examination, like PRS, PIB, Yojana, everything is there. The notification related to the examination. So this will be helpful for the parents who are preparing for civil services. And you can subscribe to our YouTube channel as well for the important videos. Now moving to the questions. So the first question is, the India Development Update Index is released by which among the following? Whether the Niti Aayog, World Bank, World Economic Forum, or the Department of Promotion and Industry Internal Trade, CII. Okay, Confederation of Indian Industries. So you have to tell me whichever is the correct answer, and you can write your correct answer in the comment section of this video. Okay, and those of you who want to get the correct answer, they can refer to the description of this video. Description में मैंने correct answer भी दिए हुए हैं. Fine. Now moving ahead, the previous year question. This is a PYQ. This is a previous question from the environment. So I have asked you, which of the following categories are under the protected areas? Okay, that not allowed the biomass. So first is a biosphere reserve, national park, wetland taken sanctuary, and wildlife. This is the previous question. Now, whatever you feel can be suggested, can be augmented, can be given a feedback from your side, will be indeed helpful for us. And I sincerely thank you for listening to this video. We'll meet with the next video with some of the important aspects of the examination. For time being, keep watching us. Thank you so much for listening.
Girl about a 10, I should fuck her in a Benz.